In today's lesson, we are going to take these 5 iconic classical pieces and shamelessly steal from them. And welcome to Music with Marky.
Piracy style, yar.
I have to do a B&E.
We all know about blues' deep roots in guitar playing and rock guitar playing, and heck, some bands even just completely ripped off old blues songs and made them into their own. Zeppelin. But what about good old stuffy tux-wearing classical music? Well, there's always this guy who started the whole neoclassical shredder thing in the 80s, but today what we're talking about is more about borrowing concepts from classical songs that you can use in your own writing and guitar techniques. If you're into that guitar shredder thing, I'll put a link up to that other lesson at the end of this video. Okay, all that said, I've got a minute of music to roll here in which I take the 5 different things that I stole from classical songs and put them into the context of rock guitar playing. We'll listen to that and come back and talk about how I did that for each one of them. So we begin our piece right away taking from one of the most, if not the most, iconic classical songs, which is Beethoven's Fifth. And if we take the beginning of it, which I'll show here, you have the big hits, the 3 hits followed by the 1 held note, the dun 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 that we all have imitated many times. But the idea when I say about shamelessly stealing, I'm saying that tongue in cheek. Really what this is about is taking the concept and turning it into your own music and not just ripping off the licks. And so I've taken the idea of the and turned it into something that I can use in the format of the song I wanted to do. And I did it in triplets, 1, 2, 3, and then a held note, and then I stuck a chord in there. And then again, 3. So it's the same concept as what's happening in the classical song, but just applied in a very different way. And really that's one of the core tenets of this channel, by the way, where I'm trying to work with concepts and ideas that you can then take and put them into your own music and make your own sound out of, rather than just copying note for note what a lick is. So again, the concept there is 3 big hits and then a held note, and that's what I turned it into for the opening of our song here. Let's move on to number 2. This one is from Blue Danube. I'm not sure how to say that. Danube. And it's a little bit more subtle. It's in some of the string instruments going on in the background. I'm going to roll the clip here, and what you're going to be listening for is something that's akin to a waltz. It's a low note followed by 2 repeated high notes. Dun 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 dun. And so that's what I had picked out of there, and I don't know what the notes are exactly in that song, but something where you would play a low note and 2 high notes, as I said. And I took it and turned it around, and in the key of B minor here that we were playing in, I just took basic minor dyad, B minor, then I went up to the D major. So I'm moving around through it, but it was the idea of 1 note followed by 2 repeated notes that I followed. As pilfering goes, that was a pretty simple one, even though I had to dig into the background music for it. Let's look at number 3 now. This one is probably something that you associate with Iron Maiden, and it's the basic gallop, but it was done here first. So there's not much to tell here, it's just the idea of the galloping rhythm, and I took it again into B minor. And so on and so forth. And for that instance, it's just the idea of a different way of playing a rhythm. That's a really quick one. Let's move on to number 4. For number 4 here, we're going to expound on something that Mozart used. The violins are doing it here in little pieces, and we're going to take it and use it more as a constant piece. So you see there the violins are playing a lead and they throw something called a trill in between some of the changes that they make, which is just going between two notes very quickly. And instead of playing something that was like a lead with a couple trills like they have, where there's some notes, or whatever it is that you might play there, I took the trills and made them the entire opening there. And so it's the idea of picking out something, a tiny piece of something, and running with it as a much bigger piece of what you're doing that can sometimes be very cool. And now let's move on to the last one, number 5. Here we're going to borrow from the Toccata and Fugue in D minor. I'm going to show an organ player playing it, and it goes by very quickly. It's a piece of a lead. Let me show that first. What we're talking about here is something that can be used as a very fast shreddery type of lead thing, which again we'll link at the end. But you're taking a pedal point. We're in the key of B minor here, so I have a G, F sharp, E, D, C sharp, B, if I'm working my way down. And I'm playing a note and then going up to the higher note and repeating that. So I have the F sharp to the G, then the E to the G, D to the G. And then I go to the next position and repeat the same idea. So it's the E to the F sharp, D, F sharp, and then again. And I did it, as you saw in the song, kind of slowed down and in a harmony, and it had a cool classical feel to it and a thematic kind of feel. And so there you go. There's 5 things that you can shamelessly steal from classical songs and turn them into ideas of your own. If you want to get more into the real shreddery type of thing and lead guitar classical techniques, that is the Yngwie lesson that I'll link over here. You can click on whatever it is that YouTube throws up there for you to click on, so you can go to that lesson. And if you have any questions about what I've talked about here today, anything you want to work on as far as getting those concepts together, let me know in the comments below. And if you want tabs and additional material on this lesson, that's over on my Patreon page, which I'll link over here, and it's in the description as well. And until next time, guys, keep making great music.
Hey friends, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. It makes the whole world better.